Smith Rowe has been blighted with a thigh injury. Jesus had 4 months out with a knee injury, and Nketiah's missed the last 5, and Nelson's had a thigh problem. But apart from that, Arsenal have been quite lucky.
To be fair, that's kind of normal. That's normal to good. It sounds like a lot, yeah, but there's other teams around it, you know, our core players. What it is, though, and you should underline this, you've organised a good squad where you've got cover in every single position. That is good management, and that's what Mikel Arteta has done.
Swansea City have taken the lead in the South Wales derby in Cardiff. Cardiff City 0, Swansea 1 is the latest score in the Championship. BBC Radio 5 live here at the Emirates. We're watching the league leaders against relegation-threatened Leeds United. It's 0-0. We've been playing for 3.5 minutes. It's the usual goal service on a Saturday afternoon as Mikel Arteta collects that bouncing ball and then leaves it for Firpo to take a throw for Leeds, who are playing from right to left as we look, as Harrison goes down that left touch line and wins another throw off the legs of Trossard, and then leaves it for Firpo midway through the Arsenal half. Leeds United, who have lost all 5 trips to London this season. Let's get news of that goal from Cardiff with Laura Kenyon.
It's Cardiff 0, Swansea 1, the away side with the early breakthrough through Joel Peru, twisting and turning in the box. Clinical, 1 shot, 1 goal. Swansea looking for a 4th consecutive win against their local rivals, and off the mark, it's 1-0 Swansea.
The early game, Manchester City came from behind to beat Liverpool by 4 goals to 1. Luton Town beat Watford 2-0 to go level at the start of play with Middlesbrough on 67 points. They're 4th, of course, in the Championship. And Preston North End in their derby against Blackpool won 3-1 at Deepdale. And Bradford City have just beaten Grimsby Town by 3 goals to 2 in the early kick-off in League Two. The prolific Andy Cook with a late winning goal for Mark Hughes' side. 0-0 here. We've been playing for nearly 5 minutes. Arsenal tidy in possession. Pat Neville.
Yeah, Martinelli, sort of lovely little touch on the left-hand side there. Just keeps possession, but he's really comfortable on the ball, and that's the big thing about Arsenal. They haven't been able to get the pace of this game to their liking yet, but you can begin to see it's happening now.
We welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, to the home of Arsenal, the Emirates Stadium in North London. So wherever you are in the world, always a pleasure to have your company on this overcast afternoon in the capital, as Ødegaard, with Arsenal in their red and white shirts, playing from left to right, give the ball away. Sinisterra gets it forward towards Somerville. Somerville's onto it. He's got Aronson in support. Somerville making a diagonal run, tries to feed it forward to Aronson, but in the end he was just swarmed by the red and white shirts, and they closed down that avenue.
They actually have looked very good in the break, haven't they? Really good in the break. When they've got real pace up there, I mean, you know, Somerville's a quick player, so is Harrison. And Sinisterra is the furthest forward, and he's looked lively.
Partey looks for the ball forward towards Jesus. He took it quite high on the chest. He drifts out towards the left-hand side, and then Jesus holds on to the ball on that far side, plays it back to Zinchenko. Hartlepool 0, Swindon 1 is a latest score from Victoria Park in League Two, as the ball goes inside to Zinchenko. Now Xhaka takes over midway through the Leeds United half. Leeds have got everybody back behind the ball, as here is White, who once had that successful loan spell at Ellen Road. Out towards Trossard on the right-hand side. Back to White, plays it forward to Ødegaard. Here is Holding. Holding now to Gabriel. Every outfield player is in the Leeds half. Zinchenko far side the left. Plays it to Jesus. At the minute they're playing in front of Leeds United.
That's what they want, isn't it, Dano? And I was talking about a back 4. Well, they've lost it. They're now a back 6. Definitely Leeds United.
Here is Trossard. Wigan have just taken the lead at home to Queen's Park Rangers. How's it started with Roy Hodgson's return at Selhurst Park? John Southall.
Palace on the front foot, playing some good stuff. Wilf Sahar, shot blocked 14 yards out. Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Barnsley are leading Morecambe by a goal to 0. Barnsley riding high in League One. Morecambe without a win in 7. Michael Duff's side have taken the lead at Oakwell. 0-0 here. No goals as yet in any of the 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Xhaka for the league leaders. Support from Trossard. He goes infield though to Partey. Now to Gabriel, forward of the centre circle. Out to Zinchenko, high up on that pitch, far side the left. Ødegaard left corner of the area. Zinchenko chips it into the penalty box, and it's caught by Meslier. Let's get an update from Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
0-0 with Brentford. Lovely move for the home side, though, through the middle of the pitch, and suddenly Mitoma is through one-on-one with the keeper, denied, though, by a brilliant sliding challenge by Ethan Pinnock. Brighton 0, Brentford 0.
St Mirren lead Livingston in the Scottish Premiership by a goal to nil. Meslier, all in black, away towards our right-hand side, clears it away downfield, headed forward by Holding. Let's get the latest racing news from Doncaster on Lincoln Day. John Hunt.
Yeah, the Cabbage Trophy's just been run, and won impressively by Vadream at 9-1. She won by miles in. She loves heavy ground. That's what she had today, and she was ridden by Kieran Schumacher and trained by Charlie Fellows, who are represented by Atrium in the Lincoln in half an hour's time.
And we'll be back with you there for that, John. Northampton leads Stevenage by a goal to nil. Mansfield 1, Crawley 0 is the latest score at Field Mill. Both of those in League Two. Zinchenko is forward. Notice actually in League Two the top four actually play each other. The leaders taking on fourth place Carlisle United today at Brisbane Road, and Northampton it's second against third, where Northampton there are leading by a goal to nil at Sixfields.
It's very noticeable in that they are playing. We talked to Chappers before the game how Leeds United would play this, and he was asking whether they're going to sit really deep and, you know, just playing the break. And I thought, I've done more than that from Leeds usually. Actually, Chappers, you're right, mate. Because when they lose the ball, they are so deep. They've got 6 along the back line. They've got 3 in front of that. And the one in front of that, well, he's only about 2 yards in front of it, so they're a long way when they have to break to get into Arsenal's back line.
That's the voice of Pat Nevin here at the Emirates at McDermott Park. St Johnstone at home to Aberdeen. Saints are down to 10 men. Andrew Considine has been sent off early in Perth. It remains 0-0, but Hearts have just taken the lead at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 1. Coventry 0, Stoke 1 is the latest score in the Championship, and you're up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. Strout goes out wide, Koch plays it forward. Sinistera back with Koch, and now to Strout. And now Leeds United actually have every outfield player in the Arsenal half, as Harrison ventures forward on this near side, the left, level with the penalty area, back with Firpo, infield, Rocker, Strout just outside the centre circle. Herring after him was Ødegaard. Ayling, infield to Christensen. His forward ball was a heavy one, straight to Zinchenko. We mentioned that goal for Northampton. Details of it from Mike Williams.
Yeah, Northampton 1, Stevenage 0. The side in second, putting pressure on leaders Leyton Orient. They would close the gap to 2 points as things stand. It was a scrappy goal, long throw-in. Stevenage didn't clear their lines, and the Northampton number 9, Louis Appere, tapped in from close range. Northampton 1, Stevenage 0.
Hibs 0, Motherwell 1 is the latest score at Easter Road in the Scottish Premiership. Harrison for Leeds United, short of the halfway line, loses out. Partey. Diagonal ball finds Martinelli. Zinchenko going ahead of him. Martinelli looks for the Ukrainian. Level with the penalty area. Waits for the ball to slow down before he plays it inside. Xhaka left corner of the box. Sends over the cross. Jesus heads it over the top. It was a lovely work move from Arsenal. And Jesus, who hasn't scored in his last 14 games, heads it over from close range. But there has been a goal elsewhere in the Premier League, and it's at the Amex. Jonathan Overend.
Well, Brentford against the run of play take the lead here, and it's a cleverly worked goal with a quick free kick that's in from the left-hand side, and Pontus Jansson into the team today has risen high and has headed home past Steele. Brighton 0, Brentford 1.
What a chance that was, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, I mean, old school build-up there. Martinelli, great understanding he's got with Zinchenko when he overlaps, puts the ball in the middle, and let's be, I know we've tried to be kind sometimes, but Jesus got to score. We must score there. He's only 6 yards out. He's up early enough to get the header. He should have he didn't even get it on target. That's a big old miss.
It's actually his longest run in English football. His last goal was against Tottenham in October. Of course, but it's 14 games without a goal for Gabriel Jesus. Wycombe 0, MK Dons 1 is the latest score. Barrow have taken the lead at home to Gillingham in League Two, and you're up to date. 0-0 here at the Emirates. Leeds United have been awarded a free kick. About, I'd say, 10, 12 yards in from the right touchline as they play from right to left as we look. Marching on together, being sung by the travelling support. Free kick then is going to be taken by Aronson, right-footed, and it's a ball that drops all the way out of play and out for a goal kick.
What they tried to do there, they tried to get Struijk free on the left-hand side, but he got blocked. So when the ball was put in that back post, there was not a single yellow shirt attacking.
A featured game in League One's at Hillsborough. There's been a goal. Lee Blakeman.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln 0. Nice move down the left, swung in, and Michael Smith was on hand to nudge it over the line. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln City 0.
They will avoid defeat if they go top. They're taking a Lincoln side who've lost their last 3. Of course, Plymouth, their supporters will be heading to Wembley, where they take on Bolton Wanderers tomorrow, which will be the biggest gate in terms of attendance this weekend in England. That'll be close to a sellout, I would imagine. The Green and White Army will be heading up in their hordes. We will go back to Selhurst Park. John Southall.
Well, it's Crystal Palace 0. Chance here, good save by the goalkeeper. Everson diving to his left-hand side. It's been all Palace. Leicester, though, have hit the post. Christensen with a cross from the left-hand side off the far post. Palace are pushing. Palace 0, Leicester 0.
And Bolton won't be lacking either in support. They'll be heading down in their droves from the M6 just for a bit of parity. 0-0.
Yeah, just interesting. Christensen playing a really interesting role here, isn't he? Because you expected them maybe to be centre-back or on a full-back. He's centre midfield, but he really is lolloping about everywhere. You know, I thought he was going to be a sitter. He's not sitting. He's getting onto that back post, and there's a little bit of a danger.
Good game. 14 minutes played. Had a real good tempo about it. 0-0 it remains, though, as the ball is given away, and Leeds United are certainly contributing to that. They're not parking the bus here, as Aronson is onto it. They've started with a lot of energy. Firpo back on the halfway line. Leeds United go back. We'll pay a visit to Bournemouth. John Akers.
Bournemouth 0, Fulham 0. Fulham have been on top so far. Just one real chance. D. Cordova-Reid with a header over from a free kick. Bournemouth look dangerous on the break, though. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 0.
Talking about that chance for Gabriel Jesus that he headed over. If you listen to Drive on 5 Live every afternoon with Tony and Claire, you'll know that on Friday at around 5:20 we have Fact of the Day. Now, this is controversial, but Tony Livesey said yesterday that Gabriel Jesus, his phone call goal celebration is because his mum phones him to make sure he's had a smoothie. I'd gone with the option of a banana to stop him getting wind, but I think it's hot air from Tony, because I'd read his mum, who's called Vera incidentally, just calls him constantly and always has. So the gesture is a tribute to her. No mention of a smoothie. There will be a steward's inquiry on 5 Live Drive next Friday. 15 minutes played.
Is that fiction over the day then?
Well, you know what Tony's like. Let's get an update from Nottingham Forest. Pat Murphy.
It's 0-0 against Wolves. Early shout for Nottingham Forest, particularly Johnson. He's skin totty. His left foot shot was tipped over the bar. They have the edge, Forest. Forest 0, Wolves 0.
You look at the bottom. 9 clubs covered by 4 points. Forest, Wolves, Palace, Leicester, Bournemouth at home to Fulham. There's going to be so many twists and turns in what is an incredible fight to stay in the Premier League. Leeds United, of course, are one of those clubs in that concertinaed look as the ball is cut out by Ayling. And I just mentioned Bournemouth. There's been a goal. John Akers.
For Fulham, Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. It's beautifully worked. Andreas Pereira finishing it off, centre of the goal, right foot, first time, and wrong foot's the goalkeeper. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
Fulham, who go into that game on the back of 3 straight defeats in all competitions. 0-0 here, 16 minutes played. Partey out to White, forward to Ødegaard. Martinelli on this right-hand side, back with Ødegaard. Trossard at the minute is now operating on that far side, the left. Zinchenko scoops the ball forward, headed away by Christensen on the edge of his own penalty area. Rocker plays it back, Koch clears it up towards Aronson, but Gabriel gets himself in front of the Leeds United player and gets a free kick that they want to take quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they've not been hugely impressive, so Arsenal, so far, but I mean, they're comfortable. They've made a chance, certainly one very, very good chance. They're getting lots more of the play, and they're slowly but surely trying to push the Leeds back. But you're absolutely right when you said before, they're not parking the bus, Leeds. When they lose it, they're deep, and there are plenty of them, and they'll just get numbers back there. But you're right, when they get the ball, yeah, they're throwing numbers forward as well. But at the moment, there's a tiny little feeling of apprehension and concern with the Arsenal fans. I think they quite like a goal, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would. Ødegaard with a free kick. He curls it in. Certainly, I was doing a little bit of filming for the social media, 5 Live social media, when Liverpool took the lead, and you could hear the Arsenal cheers from the supporters outside the stadium at that point. course, it didn't last as Manchester City came back to win by 4-1. So Arsenal's lead is just at 5 points, ahead of course, when they travel to face Manchester City on the 26th of April. The games before that, they've actually got to go to Liverpool next weekend. That'll be live on 5 Live. West Ham away, and then Southampton at home. It's still in Arsenal's hands, though, and that is all that Mikel Arteta and his players can concern themselves at this stage. They remain in the box seat as far as the title race is concerned. 0-0 though here against Leeds United. Partey's forward ball to Trossard, coming in off that right touch line. Plays it back. Rob Holding. First time that he's started successive games in the Premier League since a run of 3 back in May. His first Premier League start was against Crystal Palace before the international break for Saliba, who they're having to nurse on a day-by-day basis with his back problem. As Partey passes the ball to Gabriel, having to be patient here at Arsenal. 19 minutes played on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. We're also available through the BBC Sounds app. You can take us with us wherever you go through the BBC Sounds app. As Holding out to Martinelli, stroked inside, not really going anywhere.
Not going nowhere, very much exactly what I was going to say there. They're holding the ball well. I think maybe trying to tire Leeds out as well, because they have to be concentrated the whole way through it. And it's easy to be concentrated there as a poor ball into the middle there, but you can see there are tiny little bits of frustration coming through. And I'm sure Mikel Arteta said, look, it's a long game. I mean, you can turn up the volume a little bit nearer the end. Also, there's players like Zaka you can bring on that can change it. But at the moment, the biggest relaxation I can give to any Arsenal fan listening is you don't look in any danger at the back. Very little danger. I think, apart from that first 6 seconds, nothing much from Leeds going forward.
Well, Wolves away was Leeds United's first win on their travels since the end of October. Haven't travelled particularly well, haven't got a good record here at the Emirates. Meslier left that late before clearing it as it was closed down by Jesus. As Firpo comes forward in off that left touch line on this near side. Now it's back with Harrison. Arteta animated as ever, all in black, patrolling that technical area. Arms being waved here, there and everywhere. Derby County have lost a little bit of form of late in League One. And they're losing at home to Ipswich Town, who are on a great run of form. Ipswich, who've won their last 6, have taken the lead there. Derby County 0, Ipswich Town 1. Aronson turns, helped out by Rocker. The referee's blown his whistle. We'll go back to Selhurst Park. John Southall.
Crystal Palace 0, Leicester 0, but Palace are knocking on the door. Will Sahar, curling shot from the left of the area, saved by flying Everson. Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Including today, that game against Leicester, Palace's next 6 fixtures are all against their relegation rivals.
That's the right time to take over then, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely the right time. Maybe Alex Ferguson wouldn't have said that about Roy.
Fleetwood 1, Exeter 0 is the latest score in League One. White forward, midway through the Leeds United half. Passes it to Ødegaard, it breaks down. Actually just slowly meandered its way through in between Trossard and Ødegaard. Leeds United now can capitalise. Aronson is sent away. Enters the penalty area, left-hand side, floats over the cross. Looking offside. It was a lucky ricochet, and it allowed a back heel from Sinistera, but Ramsdale had made the save, but he was in an offside position, and Summerfield has got a blow to the head, 0-0.
Yeah, slightly woken up some of the Arsenal fans who, just sleepwalking into this, giving that chance away.
There's been another goal, and it's another one at the Amex. Jonathan Overend.
Equaliser for Brighton. Mitoma has scored it, but the manager De Zerbi is on the pitch celebrating, because clearly this is something they've planned. Long ball from Jason Steele. The goalkeeper gets the assist. Ederson-like almost. Mitoma's onto it one-on-one. Lobs it over Raya. Brighton 1, Brentford 1.
Remember that Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1 is the latest score. No goals at Selhurst Park, or indeed Nottingham Forest Wolves elsewhere in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and it's goalless here too. But Arsenal are attacking. Martinelli left-hand side. Martinelli enters the penalty area, down towards the byline, bobbles away off his knees, and out of play it goes for a goal kick. St Mirren 2, Livingston 0. You're a big fan of Mitoma.
I certainly am. We just had to see him once at the beginning of this season. I think, maybe getting a bit carried away saying he's my favourite player in the Premier League at the moment, but he is absolutely right up there. A really brilliant player. who I think Brighton managed to keep on to him for any more than a year or so. I'll be amazed. Just another winger there getting the ball, Martinelli. First time he's actually tried to take anyone on. Quarter of the game gone, didn't quite get the cross in.
I was going to say, we're at that midway point of the first half, and Arsenal, for their efforts so far, have only created that one chance that Jesus headed over. There's been another goal, and it's back at Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
Astonishing. Brentford retake the lead almost straight from the kickoff. It's down the other end. Lewis Dunk is caught asleep a little bit, and Ivan Toney pounces and slots it past Steele. Brighton 1, Brentford 2.
Here is Jesus coming forward. He runs, though, into a Leeds United wall in the midfield, and Rocker brings it away, and then Rocker is tripped, and he will get a free kick for his efforts midway through his own half, 0-0.
I think because it's midway through the first half, we can actually say it now. It's not vintage Arsenal, is it? I think it's a distance away from vintage Arsenal. I mean, yes, they're holding the ball, but you're waiting for a spark, and I think there's a lot of players looking around at each other, and the temptation is, it's Saka, who is now warming up. You think, well, you're going to be needed, mate, at some point. I don't think there's much doubt about that just now. Not a lack of belief, but certainly a more dull Arsenal than we're used to. And honestly, I've got to mention the fans as well. They've been brilliant here of late. They've been quite quiet here this afternoon. There is tension.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, can't it, coming back off the international break. We'll get another update. This time it's from Bournemouth. John Akers.
Fulham have hit the bar. They're 1-0 up here at Bournemouth. Anthony Robinson running onto a bobbling ball 25 yards out. First time, left foot, smashes the top of the crossbar. They're in danger of letting this one slip away, Bournemouth. They losing 1-0.
24 minutes played, and it is still 0-0 here, involving Arsenal and Leeds United. Holding outside the centre circle of his own half, finds White. White passes the ball back with Rob Holding once again, and then he just puts his right foot on the ball, slows it down, and then Gabriel out to Zinchenko. Martinelli on that left touch line. Martinelli waits. He's being shown on the inside by Ayling, former Leeds United youth player back in the day. And once again, Leeds United are forcing Arsenal away from that penalty area.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the way they're actually defending here. I mean, players like Xhaka like to come in from deep, but it's been a great job done, I think, by Christensen there. He's on him all the time, but also wants to break off him. That is an interesting one. And every time he breaks off Christensen and Xhaka, you've got one of the centre-backs who's passed him on. They're really well drilled at the moment, Leeds, really well drilled.
There was a clearance by Koch. It was a half-hearted clearance. Zinchenko then has had it taken off his toes by Aronson. It runs out of play, and it's a Leeds United throw over on that far side, the right. Barnsley have got a second goal, incidentally. Barnsley 2, Morecambe 0. Wickham have equalised at home to MK Dons. That's 1-1, and it's now Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1 in the Scottish Premiership. 0-0 here.
Well, you mentioned the fact that, sometimes it's hard coming back off an international break. It's also hard if you've been watching a game before and the team that you wanted to get beat were 1-0 down and then they got hammered. That can lead to a little bit of a low for a few minutes, but Arsenal cannot let that affect them here. They need to lift it a little bit more.
Here is Trossard back with White. He passes the ball along the ground into the centre circle. Holding now to Zinchenko far side. His forward ball was looked towards Xhaka. Was cut out well, though, by Ayling in that Leeds United defence. Rocker brings it forward under the grey skies here at the Emirates. Zinchenko touches the ball, it goes out of play. It is a Leeds United throw. Back to Nottingham Forest, Pat Murphy.
Still 0-0, Forest still in the ascendancy, but Wolves have just hit the Forest bar, courtesy of a Forest defender, Niakate, top of his head, didn't quite get over it, could have gone anywhere, but it's still Forest 0, Wolves 0.
We've got commentary from Stamford Bridge after Sports Report. Chelsea against Aston Villa, that's at 5:30, and then 6:06 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. 08085909693, and 5 Live boxing tonight at 10 o'clock from the O2. Live commentary of Anthony Joshua against Jermaine Franklin on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds from 10 tonight. We've seen what Manchester City have done in the blue corner, albeit the sky blue corner. At the minute, those in the red struggling to land a few blows.
And that's normal this time of season. There is tension, but it's how you deal with it, from here on in. Now, when you're not playing that well, when it's not zippy, do you adapt to Arteta, you know, he's got that kind of real pensive look, hasn't he? He's walking about there thinking, right, this isn't quite working just now. We're not creating chances. And we don't always play spectacularly well, but there's no real spark about it at the moment. So he must be thinking to himself, do I change the system? Do I change the personnel? He certainly wouldn't want to go down just now the way they're playing.
No. Here is Aronson for Leeds United. On the left-hand side, back with Firpo, goes in field. Rocker plays it short and square to Firpo, tries to get away from Ødegaard. He advances 6 yards downfield, level the area, plays a diagonal ball in field. Rocker tries to thread it through to Somerville. Aronson can't take over. Jesus is the one who passes the ball back to Ramsdale, and Ramsdale's just cleared it straight away downfield, but there was no one up there. Everybody was back on defensive duties, and therefore it's going to keep coming back at them. There's been another goal at Hillsborough. Lee Blakeman.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln 1. The visitors level, shot from the edge of the area, spilled by David Stockdale in the Sheffield Wednesday goal, and Mandroyu was on hand for a tap-in. 1-1.
You just heard there, whilst we're away with Lee, the cry of "Come on, Arsenal." That's the supporters realising that they've got their role to play now.
Absolutely.
As there's been another goal at Brighton, Jonathan Obrent.
Well, I said pre-match this was one for the neutral, and so it's proving. Brighton 2, Brentford 2 after just 28 minutes. The equaliser comes from Danny Welbeck. Far post header from Solly March's left foot cross. 2-2.
Elsewhere, Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. Crystal Palace, Leicester City's goalless, as is Forest Wolves, and this one here too, as Harrison. Now with Somerville. Somerville on the left-hand side. Somerville drifting away from the penalty area, able to turn, passes the ball back out towards the left. Little flick inside by Firpo. Somerville plays it forward. Rocker returns it to Somerville. Somerville with the opportunity. Low right-footed save by Ramsdale. Leeds United are carrying a threat.
Best move of the day from Leeds United on the left-hand side. You got plenty of players up forward, and you're right, but the Arsenal fans, just 2 or 3 minutes ago, they started saying, "Come on, Arsenal, come on, Arsenal." I'm sure they'll start it again, because there were 1 or 2 grumbles there. They can't afford that. They need to get behind their team. These are massively important moments in the season.
The better chances, Leeds have actually created better chances than Arsenal at the moment. You think of the one for Christensen early doors?
Yeah, there've not been many.
No, there haven't.
Very, very few. And the one thing I would say about Leeds, they don't really have a focal point. I mean, yes, they're playing with almost a false 9 at this point in time, but, you know, if they had a focal point, they must be thinking to themselves, we could maybe do something here.
Here is Zinchenko. Actually more on the right at the moment, as he finds it Ødegaard. Then it's to Xhaka, out to Martinelli. Again shown on the inside by Ayling. Doesn't want him to go on the outside. Martinelli there with a cross, and Strout with the run of Jesus. Last touch coming off Jesus. Out it goes for a goal kick. We'll go back to Pat Murphy at Nottingham Forest.
Wolves fighting back. Nunez almost scored here. A wicked low cross. Williams and Navas got in the tangle. He went for it with his left foot, injured the keeper in the process, but he recovered. Forest 0, Wolves 0.
We have just gone past the half-hour mark here at the Emirates. What a point this could be for Leeds United. A long way to go.
A very long way to go, but they're playing okay.
Here is Ayling. Diagonal ball, releases Somerville. Somerville with pace, enters the penalty area. Harrison on the overlap. Harrison warms the hands of Ramsdale. Hook clear by White. Another chance for Leeds United.
This is now getting really quite concerning for Arsenal. And you hear the fans, they understand it. When they get behind their team, it's been quite a dull start to the game. But now they're beginning to give away chances, which they weren't doing before as much. And you can see the Leeds players, they're growing with it.
They're growing in confidence all the time. Ramsdale on this occasion keeping out Harrison, who's been in good scoring form of late. There's now Partey for Arsenal. Tries to release Jesus. He pierces that Leeds United back line. Jesus latches onto the ball. Jesus, the angle is tight, but Koch held him up and got the ball away. But it's come straight back to Martinelli. Left corner of the area, plays it short and square. Xhaka out to Jesus. Jesus looking for an opportunity. Still going, goes to ground. Referee gives a penalty. Arsenal have got a penalty. Won by Jesus from the challenge by Ayling. What a chance now for Arsenal to take the lead.
Well, they have a look at it, but judging by Ayling's reaction, I don't think he thinks he's going to get away with that one. It goes to ground because basically he falls for the dummy. And while he's lying on the ground, obviously Jesus runs over him, but he's left his legs out there. we've got another replay of it here. Jesus could have went down the previous tackle beforehand, but Ayling goes down, catches him in the knee, penalty kick, 100%.
They're reviewed every single time anyway. Craig Pawson, VAR, he does touch him.
He does.
He makes the most of it.
Yeah, no, but what are you doing on the ground?
I know.
You shouldn't be on the ground on your backside. The thing is, there wasn't even a great big dummy there from Jesus. He just slightly panicked. Ayling went to ground there, and to be fair, there is contact because he's not like throwing his leg out to try and get the contact. He's not initiated it, Jesus. He's just run across where his foot happens to be. And the referee's seen that, and I can't see the referee changing his mind there.
No, I can't
chance.
either. And after the VAR check, it has been awarded.
They needed a little stroke of luck. Arsenal, I think they've got it there. I'm not sure they made that. They were given that.
Now, Saka would normally take the penalty. He's scored all 4 when he's been on the pitch in his Arsenal career, but of course he's not starting today's game. So it's Martin Ødegaard who, well, in fact, no, he's actually handed the responsibility to Gabriel Jesus, who hasn't scored in 14 games. His longest run in English football without a goal. He turns 26 on Monday. Gabriel Jesus, who's never been on the losing side when he scored in his Premier League career, waits. The former Manchester City player, Jesus, scores from the penalty spot. Sigh of relief inside the Emirates. Arsenal lead Leeds United by a goal to 0, and that barren run without scoring from Gabriel Jesus is banished. 1-0.
Huge moment there for Arsenal and for Jesus himself. Remember, he missed a chance earlier on in the game. Header, set shots, didn't even get it on target when he wasn't marked. But it's him that wins the penalty. When Arsenal are beginning to look as if they were under the cosh, and him that wants to take the responsibility. That penalty kick, and it's a very cool penalty kick. Wait for Midley to move. He does move, just strokes it down the middle there. A lovely penalty kick. The goalkeeper moves, which he does. Wow, that's a bit of a relief for Arsenal.
Bang down the middle, right-footed. Actually had a bit of a checkered record from the penalty spot during his time at Manchester City. He only scored 5 out of 10. But here, as he looks to the heavens, he has given Arsenal the lead as we have 10 minutes to go to half-time. 1-0 to the Arsenal is the cry inside the Emirates. The league leaders are ahead. Elsewhere, we're going to go to Cardiff. Laura Kenyon.
It's Cardiff 1, Swansea 2. 2 goals in quick succession in the South Wales derby. Joel Peru with the initial shot off the post, but followed up by Liam Cullen. But instant reaction from Cardiff. Jayden Philogene with a rocket with his left foot to make it Cardiff 1, Swansea 2.
Doncaster 0, Crewe 1 is the latest score in League 2. The 10 men of St Johnstone have fallen behind to Aberdeen at McDermott Park. St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1, and Barnsley have got a third at home to Morecambe in League 1. So Arsenal are ahead.
We'd expect Arsenal now to play more like Arsenal, you know, to get the ball down, to hold it. They control the tempo of the game now. There is, I said there's no pressure, there's always pressure on just now, but a lot of that pressure and that tension that was clearly building up around the stadium, that should have gone now, and Arsenal should be able to play their own football now. And I have to say that, they've not given the ball away yet, have they?
And here is Xhaka, cuts it back. Jesus tried to turned into Rocker on the edge of the area, but he still has the ball, the Brazilian. Back out to Xhaka on that far side. Now with Zinchenko, very late flag going up, and it's a free kick to Leeds United, who trail by a goal to 0. Walsall 0, Sutton 1 is the latest score, and you can certainly feel the change of atmosphere around us.
It's completely different. In fact, it's diametrically opposite just now, because it was concerned, it was worried, it was frustrated, and there were mumbles and groans now and again. But give due to the Arsenal fans, they sang when they had to sing, and it certainly gives the players the lift, and it certainly gives Jesus the lift.
We're going to dip into the Championship, into Carrow Road. Aaron Paul.
Norwich 0, Sheffield United 0. Very little in the way of major chances here, but Anel Ahmedhodzic of United has just cracked the crossbar with a powerful header, Ian. It remains there, Norwich 0, Sheffield United 0.
They're up and out of their seats inside the Emirates. That goal has certainly transformed everything, but Somerville has won the ball here in the penalty area. Back to Harrison. Excellent tracking back by Trossard. Harrison was actually pulling back his left foot to shoot when Trossard intervened. And now Martinelli's been released on the counter-attack. Left-hand side. Martinelli enters the penalty area. Martinelli, edge of the area, plays it towards Xhaka. Xhaka cuts it back. Jesus looking to turn. Martinelli with a shot blocked. Jesus still there, and it's cleared away by Strout. There's been a goal at Nottingham Forest. Pat Murphy.
To Brennan Johnson and the Nottingham Forest. Expertly taken. Loose ball came over to the right. Totti his mark and nowhere. Emphatic finish. Right foot Johnson. They deserve it. Forest 1, Wolves 0.
He'd been a doubt as well, hadn't he, going into the game? So Forest lead Wolves 1-0, 6 without a win for Nottingham Forest. Crystal Palace 0, Leicester City 0, Brighton 2, Brentford 2, Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. Manchester City earlier beat Liverpool by 4 goals to 1. Chelsea, Aston Villa. Commentary to come here on 5 Live from 5:30. But here on 5 Live in the World Service, Arsenal lead by a goal to 0, and Match of the Day tonight on BBC One with Mark Chapman, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards is on air at 10:20. Here is Partey outside the centre circle. Gabriel forward now. Jesus, Ødegaard. You sense that the next goal, if Arsenal go 2-0, it could be a long afternoon for Leeds United.
It could be. I mean, it wasn't great from that. It's a long way from great for Arsenal before that, but since they scored the goal, it looks like the real Arsenal have turned up now. They're holding the ball well. Every player wants to go on it. But Leeds is still a danger in the break.
Here is Somerville, who certainly has had his threatening moments as he's held up by White and goes to the ground. He was just pulled to the floor there. Doncaster 0, Crewe 2 is the latest score in League 2. Fleetwood are back in front. Fleetwood 2, Exeter 1 is the latest score in League 1. And you're up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live. 5 minutes to go to half-time. And Jesus, who turns 26 on Monday, has got the all-important goal. As we're going to go racing, it's the Lincoln, it's at Doncaster, and here's John Hunt.
First big race of the new flat season, and they're at halfway here, Ian, and the well-fancied Awal right there with the leaders. Janfer and Eileen Dove are also tracking them, with Empire State of Mind in behind them. Last year's Cambridgeshire winner, Majestic, right up with the pace as well, and Croupier's not far away at all. The heavily well-fancied Al Mubhir is stalking them, going fine. Incorrigible is also trying to come with his run as well. Empire State of Mind moving towards the leaders. He's travelling very strongly, though, as they now dash down towards the final 2 furlongs in the Lincoln Handicap. Empire State of Mind has taken over with the advantage here. Chased all of the time by Majestic, who's been there throughout. Awal is now under pressure, but finding on the near side running rail. They've got a half a furlong left to go. Awal might be in front here. Awal has hit the front. He's now going on. Awal narrowly, but he's being pressed on all sides here by Barrador, and here with a wet sail is Migration as well, one of the oldest horses in the race. Oh my word, he's kicked in the overdrive, and Migration has gone and won it from Awal. In behind those was Barrador. Majestic stayed on, and Al Mubhir was further back in the field. Well, this winner, Migration, one of the outsiders, one of the oldest winners of the race for years. He's a 7-year-old, and he is ridden by Benoit de la Sayette, who shot to prominence when winning this race 2 years ago. He's only going to win it again. Migration, at odds of around 33 to 1, has won the Lincoln.
What a story, and there'll be reflections in Sports Report from John on the Lincoln at Doncaster. Whilst we were away, Rangers leading Dundee United by a goal to 0 at Ibrox in the Scottish Premiership, and there was a chance from a clearance from Meslier that fell to Martinelli. What would you say, Pat? He was midway through the Leeds United half, hit it goalwards, and it required Ayling to prevent it from going in.
Yeah, a very similar goal actually was scored quite recently. It was for Wolves. I'll try and get out of that dusty area of my mind where it's lit, but they scored at that time, and this time Meslier caught out, and he was very fortunate. His defender got back there and saved his blushes.
It's Arsenal who still lead Leeds United by a goal to 0, and we've got 3 minutes to go to half time. And there's going to be a stoppage in play. I mentioned that Rangers have taken the lead. News of that goal at Ibrox from Gavin Wallace.
They have indeed. Ian Malik Tillman with his 9th goal of the season. It was a great ball in from James Tavernier. He finds Todd Cantwell, whose sublime touch finds Tillman, and he slots home to make it Rangers 1, Dundee United 0.
Back to Pat Murphy.
It's still 1-0 to Forest, but they should have had a penalty. Johnson, who just scored, teased and tormented Totti. Finally, he grabbed his shirt. Down he went. Looked a penalty to me, but the ref, Chris Kavanagh, booked Johnson for diving. On top of that, Neves of Wolves has just received his 10th booking of the season. Forest 1, Wolves 0. Bowling up, it's boarding up nicely, Ian.
Sounds it too. Crystal Palace 0, Leicester City 0 is the latest score. Brighton 2, Brentford 2. What about Bournemouth Fulham, John Akers?
Bournemouth having their best spell. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. Ouattara, a left foot shot, a foot wide, and then he hit the crossbar from an offside position. Andreas Pereira's gone close for Fulham as well with an overhead kick. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
Charlton, without a win in their last 5 at home, now leads Shrewsbury by 2-0 at the Valley. Ødegaard is still down, and Arteta taking advantage of that stoppage in play to just have a word with all of his players. Meanwhile, there's been a goal at Huddersfield. Juliet Farrington.
Where Middlesbrough have taken the lead here just before half-time. They lead Huddersfield by a goal to nil. It was brilliant work by Archer down this left-hand side, crossed the ball, and there was the finishing work, by Fours to finish it off just inside the box to give Middlesbrough the lead here approaching the break. It's Huddersfield 0, Middlesbrough 1.
That takes them, as it stands, to just a point behind Sheffield United, who are currently drawing 0-0 away at Carrow Road against Norwich City. And Coventry 0, Stoke City 2 is the latest score, also in the Championship. Ødegaard is back on the field of play. We're back underway. 60 seconds remain in the Premier League on BBC Radio 5 Live, where the leaders Arsenal are 1-0 up against Leeds United. A penalty from Gabriel Jesus, and that record that I mentioned earlier in commentary is yet to be on the losing side in the Premier League when he's scored. Before today, 51 times, won 48, drawn 3.
Yeah, some players have those sort of records, and to be honest, the rest of these teammates will know that. And if you know that, you think to yourself, right, we're confident. It's not that you stop trying and think the game's won, but there's a real belief that will keep going.
Martinelli was away there, and he was just pulled back, and Robin Koch is going to get a yellow card.
Yeah, he's got his hand up, you know, the international sign-off, I am seriously injured. Which I'm really surprised by, unless he's gone over his ankle. With him, he stood in his foot, that's what it is. Definitely stood in his foot, knew what he's doing.
It was just over the halfway line. There's going to be another stoppage because Martinelli's feeling his ankle. The yellow card was shown to Robin Koch, and we will go back to the Amex and Jonathan Overend.
Excellent first half, still playing 2-2, but 2 big chances for Brighton in the last minute of this first half. First of all, Raya saving a shot from McAllister from just outside the box, and the resulting corner, Levi Colwell up highest and just over the bar. 2-2. St Mirren 3, Livingston 0. 3 minutes of stoppage time here at the Emirates. It means that the only goalless game, surprise, surprise, John Southall.
I'll ignore that. Palace 0, Leicester City 0. But this could be a real blow for Palace, because Wilf Zaha is just hobbling off at the moment. He just overstretched as he was going for the ball, and it looks like his left groin or his right groin that he's pulled. And if he's out for a while, that would be a big blow for Palace. 0-0.
13 without a win since their last victory, New Year's Eve, December the 31st.
Well, considering there's some quality players there, you know, some attack-minded players, they are capable of creating goals, and it's not happening at the moment for them.
Martinelli's on his feet. He's walking a little gingerly in added on time here.
It's gone a bit stop-start, hasn't it?
It has,
just as Arsenal scored, they had about 5 minutes where they were towering again. They're the Arsenal that the fans love to watch. Since then, a whole load of players have got injured.
Chested off by Jesus to Xhaka. Hit it first time. Flag was up anyway. It was offside. It'll be a free kick to Leeds United. Xhaka had dragged that shot well wide off his left foot. But a free kick to Leeds just outside their penalty area as they trail by a 0-0. Meslier.
Yeah, you just look at this game just now. You're thinking Saka was the one you would think of bringing on at half-time before the goal was scored. Now you're looking at the Leeds bench, aren't you, and thinking actually they need someone up front they can go and try and find.
Certainly not fluent in the first half, but we're at that stage of the season where it's not about the performances, it's just about getting the points on the board.
Yeah, over the years, many teams you've watched, and they've got a number of 1-0s, you know, scraped, sometimes a penalty, sometimes a little bit lucky. Does not matter at the end of the season, as long as you have either more points or certainly more goals than anyone if you get the same points.
And talking of having points on the board, only once before have Arsenal had more points at this stage of a season. It was when they had 70 in the Invincibles season. So that tells you everything about the campaign that this Arsenal side have enjoyed so far. And they're hoping that it culminates in their first title since 2004. Leeds United, though, are still tussling away, still battling. But Summerville, who's been a bit of a live wire, unable to keep the ball in play, goes behind, and it's a goal kick to Arsenal. As Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 1 is a latest score in the Scottish Premiership. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, he has been a bit of a live wire. He's playing up front. It's quite often they'll change it around. Aronson's, he's playing a little bit further up front, but he's more or less likely to be the defensive attacker of the front three, so he's going back into the midfield. It looks kind of nice. So there was a period of maybe 15 minutes where it looked very nice and they were creating chances, particularly down this left-hand side, particularly from Summerville, who you mentioned there, but it's gone a little bit quiet, as you say, since the goal.
Martinelli, midway through the Leeds United half, loses out to a combination of Roca and Koch. Up to Sinisterra, turns on that far side, the right, plays the ball inside. Again, Trossard running back. His work off the ball there on a couple of occasions has been exceptional. And now Martinelli runs forward in the central area, crowded out though by about 3 lemon yellow Leeds United shirts. And Jesus was caught. Christensen apologises. The referee gives a free kick. Should say as well that elsewhere, Bristol City in the Championship, unbeaten in 6, are leading at home to Reading. They've just taken the lead in stoppage time at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 1, Reading 0. Pat.
You know, Christensen's very interesting watching. Maybe he has done a really good job closing players down. Xhaka's not got a great involvement in this game because he's been playing up directly against them. And I think I understand why Christensen's upset there. Jesus has gone down as if he's been mortally wounded, in actual fact, very little wrong with him.
Yes, he certainly made the most of it. Let's just put it that way. Stoppage time then here at the Emirates. Arsenal just keeping the ball now on the central area of the field. Back with Partey. In fact, there is the half-time whistle. It's Arsenal 1, Leeds United 0. They haven't had it all their own way. Jesus certainly had a good chance to head over. It's his penalty 10 minutes before half-time that separates the two sides. But Leeds United have tested Ramsdale with Christensen after 6 seconds, Summerville and Harrison. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, well, for Arsenal, they must be delighted with that. They haven't played anywhere near the best. Little spells now and again. But Leeds United, just when they were coming into the game having their best spell, that's when they broke away. But in moments like these, it's the big players that turn up. We've said it so many times over the years. And Jesus misses a chance but doesn't care. Gets in the box, gets the penalty kick, stands up and glides up and puts it in the back of the net. And if it's 1-0 to the Arsenal at the end, sure I've had that with him once or twice in the past.
And they'll certainly take that. That's the scoreline then at half-time at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Leeds United 0.
Back for the second half with Ian and Pat. Let's go to the Amex, where, as Jonathan Overend said, this was going to be a game for the neutral.
Brighton 2, Brentford 2. Lovely half of football. Really enjoying it. 2 masterful tacticians at work, you feel, in the dugouts, and 2 attack-minded teams on the field of play. Brentford twice taking the lead. Pontus Jansson with his header on 9 minutes on his return to the team. Then Ivan Toney midway through the half. In between, twice Brighton have pegged them back. Karim Matoma on 21 minutes in a really extraordinary 60 seconds or so, during which both teams scored. Fed by Jason Steele's long ball from the keeper. Lovely finish from Matoma, lobbing Raya. And then Welbeck with a second equaliser. 28 minutes the time of that one. Anything could happen, you feel, in the second half. Brighton 2, Brentford 2.
Scottish Championship leaders Dundee have got a 4th at home to bottom of the table, Hamilton. Dundee 4, Hamilton 0. In the National League, Oldham have pulled one back at Wrexham. Wrexham 2, Oldham 1. And in the FA Trophy semi-finals, Barnet have pulled one back at Gateshead, but they trail by 3-1. And Altrincham have just taken the lead at home to FC Halifax Town through Jordan Hume on the stroke of half-time. Back to the Premier League, to the Vitality Stadium. John Akers.
Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. Andreas Pereira with the only goal. They've been good, Fulham. The goal was a really nice finish, set up by Harrison Reed, first time from Pereira. I think it went through a defender's leg, so the goalkeeper, Neto, was rooted. They then had further chances. Andreas Pereira with a decent chance with an overhead kick. I know you don't say that very often, but he put it wide and looked really disappointed. Ouattara with Bournemouth's best effort, left foot shot wide of the target. They looked better as the half went on. It's Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
Jesurim Raksaki has just got his 11th of the season for Charlton, and they're 3-0 up at the Valley. And therefore Dean Holden's side looks set to win to get their first win at home in 6 games. Back to the Premier League. Pat Murphy at the City Ground.
Forest deserved to be beating Wolves 1-0, even though Niakate early on headed against his own bar, and that was nearly a goal for Wolves. But at the other end, Johnson, who's never really been mastered by the outer position, Totti, he wasn't tight enough on him when he finished expertly with his right foot. And then Totti pulled back Johnson. To my eyes, the referee wouldn't give it a penalty, and he booked Johnson for diving. That one's a debatable one. But they are the better side, Forest, and the crowd massively behind Steve Cooper. Forest 1, Wolves 0.
0-0 at Selhurst Park, and if Palace are going to get past the nil, they're going to be doing it without their leading scorer, John Southall.
Yeah, absolutely. Palace 0, Leicester 0. Wilf Sahar right on half-time, just crumpled to the ground. He overstretched going for a ball, and he looks like he's pulled his groin muscle there, and you could see when he went off that he knows the severity of it, tears in his eyes as he left the Selhurst Park pitch. We questioned, didn't we, before the game, how Roy Hodgson would approach this. Would he be conservative? The answer, far from it. They've been on the front foot, Palace. Front 5 of Schlupp, Eze, Elise, Zahar and Edouard. They've had some chances. 20 shots they've had. That is the most of any game this season. 5 on target. Everson's denied. Decore, Eze, Zahar. Anderson guided ahead of wide. Elise from the right. Shot deflected behind. They've been good, Palace. But a goal, as ever, is elusive. Leicester, one moment. Christensen crossed from the right-hand side. Ricocheted off the post. Half-time 0-0.
Earlier in the Premier League, Manchester City beat Liverpool by 4-1. In the Championship, Luton 2, Watford 0, Preston 3, Blackpool 1. Earlier, we'll start our 3 o'clock games at Carrow Road with Aaron Paul.
Norwich 0, Sheffield United 0. Loads of fight between these two, Mark, but little in the way of attacking intent. We've had one mass brawl, a little bit of grappling, most of it involving Max Aarons, who's had a penalty shout turned down. The best chance of the game, however, has fallen to Anel Ahmedhodzic of Sheffield United, who planted a powerful header onto the frame of the goal midway through the first half. All to play for in the second period. At the break, it is 0-0.
Thank you very much. So Middlesbrough are going to close the gap as things stand. Juliet Ferrington.
Yep, it's going Borough's way so far at half-time. They lead Huddersfield 1-0. Archer making the goal as he managed to get away from 2 players who were surrounding him before, laying the ball on for Force, who ran onto it to finish it off just 2 minutes though before the break. They had chances before that, but Huddersfield, Mark, have proved really tricky and difficult to break down. Huddersfield almost went ahead inside 5 minutes. Karoma's strike had beaten Stefan in the Borough goal, but Lenihan was there to clear off the line. But at half-time, Borough in front here, 1-0.
Next to St Andrews, Maz Faruqi.
Half-time, Birmingham 0, Blackburn 0. It has been an OK first half, though. Birmingham with much the better of the chances. A Lucas Yakoet strike straight at the keeper, 8 yards out. Birmingham forcing a goalmouth scramble clearance from Rovers as well. But at the other end, Ryan Hedges forcing a good, strong save from a tight angle from the left. And a reminder, Ben Berriton-Diaz only on the bench for Rovers today as well. But Birmingham will be frustrated, I think, that they weren't able to make the most of this game so far when they've been on top. It's goalless here at St Andrews.
And staying in that area of the country, goalless at the Hawthorns as well. Katie.
It certainly is. West Brom 0, Millwall 0. Really engaging though, really even. I suppose expected really both sides in the thick of battle for playoff spots, and both sides pelting efforts at the goal. 13 in total. Only 1 on target though for each side. Now remember, West Brom last lost here in October. They've only conceded 1 goal in that time. They came pretty close to an opener on the stroke of half-time. Townsend headed deflected away. Goalless at half-time.
Next to Cardiff Swansea, where the visitors lead. Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, it's Cardiff 1, Swansea 2. Proper South Wales derby. This competitive, physical, both sides going for it, both technical areas going for it. And Swansea led with their first shot on goal. Joel Peru, his 15th of the season. Liam Cullen headed home to make it 2, but instant reaction from Cardiff to pull one back. Jayden Philogene unleashing with his left foot, top of the box. Cracking atmosphere as always. Cardiff 1, Swansea 2.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Bristol City lead Reading by a goal to nil. Tommy Conway with his 10th of the season on the stroke of half-time there. Coventry 0, Stoke 2. They're unbeaten in their last 4 are Alex Neil's side, and their goal scorers this afternoon, Jacob Brown with his 8th of the season and Tyrese Campbell with his 9th of the season. Goalless between Hull and Rotherham. And in a battle at the bottom of the table, Wigan lead a very worried QPR side at the moment by 1-0. Max Power with the goal there. Into League One, we're with Sheffield Wednesday this afternoon. Lee Blakeman.
Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln 1, and Wednesday have been all over the place since the equaliser. They did lead, deservedly so, through Michael Smith, nicely nudging a ball from the left over the line, came through a crowd to do so. Good finish, but then out of nowhere, Lincoln got themselves level. Mandroyu pouncing after keeper Stockdale spilled it. He's not having his most convincing game at all today, Stockdale. Wednesday 4 without a win and level at half-time here. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln 1.
Barnsley have only lost once in their last 13, and they've been comfortable this afternoon at Oakwell. Devontae Cole got one of their goals, 13 for the season for him, and they lead Morecambe by 3-0. Charlton 3, Shrewsbury 0. It's goalless between Cheltenham and Burton. Ipswich, who started the day in third, lead at Derby by 0 at the break. Connor Chaplin with it, 20 for the season for him. Jack Marriott's got both for Fleetwood this afternoon, and they lead Exeter by 2-1. Goalless between Peterborough and Oxford, Port Vale and Cambridge, and Portsmouth and Forest Green Rovers. And at Adams Park, it is Wickham 1, MK Dons 1. In League 2, a late Andy Cook winner earlier gave Bradford a 3-2 win over Grimsby. 26 for the season now for the Bradford striker. To the 3 o'clock game, starting with the leaders Leyton Orient. Kate Mason.
There's been some moments of sparkling quality here, but it is still 0-0, and a bit of trouble for manager Paul Simpson. Carlisle's fin back, the Nottingham Forest loanee, has been forced to come off with an injury, and he was providing a lot of the best chances up the right-hand side. He had only been back. This was his first game back from injury after 4 months, so a real struggle that for Carlisle. Paul Smith creating all the chances for Leyton Orient, but it is still 0-0.
That's first against fourth in the game between second and third. Mike Williams.
Northampton 1, Stevenage 0. As things stand, Northampton closing the gap on League 2 leaders Leyton Orient to 3 points, while Stevenage would currently drop out of the automatic promotion places, which is quite the loss of form when you consider they had a 13-point cushion between themselves and the playoff spots as recently as mid-January. The home side took the lead here early on. Striker Louis Appare with his 7th of the season, slotting home from close range after a long throw-in caused some hesitancy in the Stevenage defence. Other than that, not too much to shout about. Stevenage without a single shot on target in the first half. They need to regroup to stop their slide continuing. As for Northampton, they're 45 minutes away from a 5th win in 6.
Elsewhere, goalless between AFC Wimbledon and Rochdale. Barrow lead Gillingham by 0-0. It's Colchester 0, Newport 0. Crewe are on course for their first away win in 10. They're 2-0 up at Doncaster. Hartlepool have drawn all 5 games under John Askey since he took over, but they're behind at the break to Jody Morris's Swindon. It's Hartlepool 0, Swindon 1. Mansfield lead Crawley by 0-0. And Sutton have scored their first goal in 4 games, and they lead 1-0 at Walsall. Let's go into the Scottish Premiership. We'll start with second against bottom, Gavin Wallace.
Rangers 1, Dundee United 0. If I'm being honest, Mark, Rangers, for want of a better phrase, had to get the finger out halfway through the first half. They really haven't helped themselves at times. United's best chance came on 35 minutes. Craig Sibbald skiffed one off the top of the bar. Didn't really trouble Alan McGregor, but the goal came on the 38th minute when James Tavernier found the ex-Norwich midfielder Todd Cantwell, whose sublime touch gave him just that half a second for the chance to place through Tillman, and all he had to do was slot home for his 9th goal of the season. Rangers 1, Dundee United 0.
Elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, Hibs 0, Motherwell 1. Kilmarnock lead Hearts by 2-1. St Johnstone are down to 10, and they trail at home to Aberdeen by 1-0. And St Mirren have had a very good first half. They lead Livingston by 3-0. In the Scottish Championship, Cove Rangers 0, Partick Thistle 2. Leaders Dundee 4, bottom of the table Hamilton 0. Goalless between Morton and Inverness. And Wraith lead Queen's Park, who are in second by... Queen's Park are top, and the gap would just be down to 1 between them and Dundee because they trail at Wraith by 1-0. In Scottish League 1, Alloa 0, Edrionians 1, Clyde 0, Falkirk 0, Dunfermline 0, Kelty Hearts 0, FC Edinburgh 0, Montrose 1, and Queen of the South 0, Peterhead 0. In League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stranraer 0, Dumbarton 1, Stenhousemuir 0, East Fife 0, Annan 0, Elgin 0, Stirling 2, and Forfar 0, Albion Rovers 1. In the Irish Cup in Northern Ireland, Crusaders have beaten Dungannon by 1-0. In the Northern Irish Premiership, it's Glentoran 3, Portadown 0 at half-time. Back to England, the National League, Bromley 2, Solihull Moors 0, goalless between Dagenham and Redbridge and Dorking and Maidenhead and Chesterfield. Boreham Wood are 2-0 up at Maidstone. It's Scunthorpe 0, Torquay 0 and Wrexham lead Oldham by 2-1. And in the FA Trophy semi-final stage, Altrincham lead Halifax by 1-0 and it's Gateshead 3, Barnet 1. In Rugby Union's Champions Cup, Sharks 50, Munster 35 is a final score. Stormers 17, Quins 7 is a half-time score. They're approaching half-time in the Women's Six Nations and it's Ireland 3, France 27. In the IPL earlier, Punjab Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders. In the next game, Lucknow Super Giants are 110 for 3 in the 13th over against Delhi Capitals. And in Super League earlier, comfortable win for Warrington. They beat Hull by 34 points to 6. You're up to date with all the day's sport. Matthew Bone has the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. Coach passengers arriving at Dover are facing waiting times of up to 14 hours as the Easter getaway rush causes huge queues. Earlier, managers at the Port of Dover blamed the volume of traffic, poor weather and delays at the French border. Authorities have apologised and say they're working to get passengers on their way quickly. Russia has taken up presidency of the United Nations Security Council. The role rotates between each of its 15 council members on a monthly basis. Ukraine's foreign minister has said it's a slap in the face to the international community. In Iran, a hardline MP has issued an ultimatum to judges to come up with measures to force women to wear headscarves. There have been months of protests and widespread flouting of the rules after the death of a young woman in the custody of the morality police, which enforced the wearing of hijabs. And Manchester has become the first UK city to launch a tourist tax for visitors. From today, people will have to pay the city visitor charge of £1 per night.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
So back to the Emirates then. Arsenal lead Leeds by 1-0, so they'd stretch the lead at the top of the table back to 8 points after Manchester City's 4-1 win over Liverpool earlier. But it has not been as comfortable for them as they would have liked. Let's go back to Pat Nevin and Ian Dennis.
No, it certainly hasn't. A Leeds United side that has tested Ramsdale at least 3 occasions in that first half. They trailed by a 1-0. Javi Gracia has sent his players out there. It doesn't look like he's making a change, so Leeds United will line up as follows. Meslier is in goal. Back 3 of Ayling, Koch and Strout with the wing-backs Christensen and Firpo. Aronson, Rocker, Harrison, Somerville and Sinistera. They're in there. Lemon yellow change jerseys with that splash of navy blue. The navy blue shorts as well, as Arsenal at the minute are just gathering in the tunnel and leading through a Jesus penalty 10 minutes before half-time, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, and again, not a vintage display. I don't think any Arsenal fan would even claim that, but as you say, it doesn't really matter just now. But Leeds, from their point of view, you're thinking, wait a minute, anything you can get out of this game would be huge for them. So you just wonder, they've not made any changes, but you suspect they will. I'd give them 10, maximum 15 for the start of this game. If they don't get a goal in the next 10 or 15 minutes, they will make changes and expect Bamford and Rodrigo at least to come on.
So Arsenal are coming out now. No changes at all from Mikel Arteta. So Ramsdale in goal, a back 4 of White, Gabriel, Holding and Zinchenko, Partey and Xhaka, Ødegaard, Trossard, Martinelli and Jesus. Referee is Darren England. And Arsenal, if they can hang on to this win, then for the first time under Mikel Arteta, it will be 7 successive wins as the second half resumes in the Premier League. That is some response after that setback to Manchester City.
Yeah, to be honest, that was a tough game for them. The 2 Man City games in a week, wasn't it? But they've came back, and with the times that I've watched them, you know, they've been very controlled. They've the real belief in themselves. And when they've had to wait and wait, they've waited most of the time. Certainly the game against Brentford down here, they had to wait as well. But in this one in particular, it's not looked brilliant, but they find themselves one up, and that's what Championship winners can do.
And then, by my calculations, 23 points would be required for the title from the 9 games that remain. An early goal at Huddersfield in the Championship. Juliet Farrington.
Just 22 seconds into the second half, and Huddersfield had drawn themselves level against Middlesbrough. Ruffles just broke free. He ran and he ran. He went one-on-one and hit the top corner. Huddersfield 1, Middlesbrough 1.
News from West Yorkshire will be celebrated in South Yorkshire from a Sheffield United side that is currently holding off both the challenge of Middlesbrough and Luton Town, it's got to be said. Luton unbeaten in 7 after a 2-0 victory against Watford earlier today. So still the gap between Sheffield United and Middlesbrough is 3 points for that second automatic promotion berth from the Championship. As Arsenal are attacking in their red and white shirts in the second half, they're playing from right to left as Partey plays the ball towards Gabriel. Gabriel now plays it short and forward. We're going to Bournemouth in a moment where there's been a goal, but Zinchenko to Martinelli, left-hand side, wriggles away from Ayling, sends over the cross, and at the far post, Ben White arriving, increases Arsenal's lead. He only scored his first goal recently in that game against Bournemouth, and he's followed it up against a side he once had a loan spell with. Arsenal now have a cushion. 2-0, Ben White delivers.
They started this second half really well. Very, very sharp down the left-hand side there. And you can tell by the way they started that certainly Arteta said something to them. They have lifted it there. Great play by Martinelli there. Does the little neat trick. Caused Ayling a problem. He's not had a good afternoon, giving away a penalty kick. And then when you've done there, you give Martinelli a chance to put the cross in. Gets to the back post. Well, it's a tap-in. It's off the crossbar, right enough, but it's a tap-in.
He's marked his 200th career league appearance with a rare goal, and Arsenal are 2-0 up. And there's been another goal elsewhere in the Premier League, and it's at Bournemouth. John Akers.
And Bournemouth are level. It's a brilliant goal from Marcus Tavernier off the bench. It was one of his first touches of the game. Left foot after a corner had been cleared. 25 yards out. A curler. Postage stamp. Leno no chance. AFC Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1.
And the goals don't stop there. We move along the south coast to Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
Yeah, the only surprise, it took us 3 minutes of the second half to get another one. Brentford retake the lead. Extraordinary. And again, we were wondering if set pieces could be an influence today. Brentford so effective with them. Brighton not so good. The free kick from Mbermo, left of centre, just poked in unmarked. Far post by Ethan Pinnock. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 3.
Well, that will surely settle the nerves as far as Arsenal are concerned here at the Emirates. But for Leeds United, they remain embroiled in that relegation battle as Ramsdale bowls the ball out towards Zinchenko. I think there are still a number of Arsenal supporters who've missed that goal from White in off the underside of the crossbar.
Yeah, but you can see the feeling around the stadium's different again now. And if you're going to go for a championship, they won't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it, but they are believing it now.
Martinelli races into the penalty area, tries to play the ball back to Ødegaard. Ayling running back to his own penalty area, breaks up the move. Martinelli, though, gives a free kick for a foul on Rocker midway through the Leeds United half. So, Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1 was the result early on. In the Championship, the early results were Luton Town 2, Watford 0, Preston North End 3, Blackpool 1 and Bradford City 3, Grimsby Town 2 in League 2, with a prolific Andy Cook getting a late winner, his 26th goal of the season. Latest scores in the top flight. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1, Brighton 2, Brentford 3 in that helter-skelter game. Crystal Palace, Leicester remains goalless. Nottingham Forest lead Wolves by a goal to 0. And Arsenal, the league leaders here, by 2 goals to 0. Commentary to come. Chelsea, Aston Villa from 5:30 after Sports Report on BBC Radio 5 Live. Port Vale 0, Cambridge 1 is a latest score in League One. Zinchenko plays the ball forward to Jesus. Back with Zinchenko once again. Where will we go next on 5 Live? And it's Nottingham Forest, the City Ground, Pat Murphy.
It's still Forest 1, Wolves 0, but just now, Traore for Wolves. He felt he should have had a penalty when he was brought down. That led to a brawl between both sets of inhabitants of the technical areas. Lopetegui and Cooper had words of respective head coaches, and then all the punters from both sets of technical areas climbed in, and you know how many there are these days. There are about 20 grown adults pushing and shoving and posturing, and then the players got involved as well too. That lasted a couple of minutes, referee trying to keep order, and now Lopetegui and Cooper are both shrugging shoulders and exchanging a cheery word as if it's got nothing at all to do with them. It's still Forest 1, Wolves 0. The backroom staff not exactly setting an example, Ian.
A good old ruckus. It reminds me, by the way, that there is a fight tonight on 5 Live at around 10 o'clock. Anthony Joshua against Jermaine Franklin. It'll just be 1 against 1 from 10 o'clock on 5 Live. Portsmouth lead Forest Green by a goal to 0. What have you been casting your BDI on or over?
I'm just really surprised that, Leeds United actually haven't made a change yet. I mean, I understand that the expectation is that they're not going to get much out of this game, but you need someone who can focus that front line, and they've just not had it this game. And Arsenal not been at their best until they scored the first goal. You expected they would have made a change by now, and maybe too late. Oh, that is when the biggest delays have thrown themselves to the ground, but Leeds United are not going to get a free kick there.
Let's see if there's any sign of the deadlock being broken at Selhurst Park with John Southall.
Well, still Palace 0 Leeds, Leicester 0, Ian, but Leicester have started this second half really well. Dewsbury Hall did brilliantly down the left-hand side, picked out James Maddison at the back post, his shot saved by the legs of Guaita. Suddenly, there is a different complexion to this match. Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Mansfield 2, Crawley 0 is the latest score at Field Mill. Leeds United awarded a free kick midway through the Arsenal half. 8 points. It looks then that Arsenal will be back clear of Manchester City. The goal difference is interesting, bearing in mind at the minute plus 42 for Arsenal, plus 45 for Manchester City. So I don't necessarily think there'll be any let up from Arsenal in that respect.
No, that's very, very. I'm not saying for 3 goals, but that can get changed very quickly, particularly some of the score lines that Manchester City can throw in there. So, the expectation it won't get down to that, but it may well do. But Leeds today, they need something. Certainly they've got a chance to put the ball in there, but Arsenal defended these well so far.
Aronson to take the free kick. It arcs its way in, and it's marshalled safely out with one bounce through for a goal kick as Leeds United play from left to right, trailing now by 2 goals to 0.
And do you know what? Sometimes you look down at the bench, or the players are warming up. Who's desperate to get on? And I'm looking and I don't think anyone is. They're just walking about. There's no ferocious warm-up to say to the manager, get me on there, I can make a difference. People are just vaguely joking about. So you just wonder how many Leeds players actually believe they can get this back.
They've got 10 games left after today, Leeds United, and involved in that run-in. They've got to take on Manchester City, of course, involved in the title. They've played 3 of the sides who are chasing top 4. And then also they've got 5 matches against their relegation rivals, 2 of which are going to come up in the next week. Nottingham Forest at home on Tuesday, and then Crystal Palace at home next Sunday.
To be fair, I think that's the games they're thinking about, maybe more than even today. I mean, they're trying to win the game today, but they know well it's more likely they'll get 3 points.
Talking of Palace, there's been a goal, John Southall.
And we said the complexion had changed. It's Palace 0, Leicester City 1. Brilliant finish from Pereira, the substitute, on the right of the penalty area and smashed it into the top left-hand corner. Palace 0, Leicester City 1.
Leicester needed that, 6 without a win. Mansfield 3, Crawley 0, Port Vale 0, Cambridge 2 now are the latest scores elsewhere. BBC Radio 5 Live, the World Service, and also on BBC Sounds, the usual Saturday goal service, as here we are at the Emirates, where Arsenal lead by 2 goals to 0. Zinchenko outside the centre circle of the Leeds United half, passes the ball towards Holding. Holding comes onto it now. Forward ball, Jesus able to turn, threads it through. Trossard takes it neatly. Trossard looking for a shooting opportunity with a cutback, and arriving with Jesus. No stopping Arsenal now. Jesus to the double. The 3 points are secure. It's Arsenal 3, Leeds United 0.
And it hasn't looked like that, but the second half has been magnificent from Arsenal. That goes on the best goals we've seen, certainly this weekend, but part of the season you could say that is right up there, because the understanding between Trossard and Jesus there was magnificent. It's a 1-2, but it's a 1-2 with some dribbles involved in it beforehand. Jesus, he waits a long time to score a goal. Like buses in here. Red buses in London, red goals for him.
The chant inside the Emirates is "We are top of the league." And not only that, they're 8 points clear, sitting pretty at the top. At the top of the championship, however, Huddersfield Middlesbrough, another goal, Juliet.
And Huddersfield, after being a goal down, now lead Middlesbrough by 2-1. Koroma low on his right foot as he's going for goal again, just going wide there of the near post. Edge of the area though, Koroma hit the bottom corner. 2 second-half goals for Huddersfield. Inside 10 second-half minutes, they lead Middlesbrough 2-1.
And it's Hibs 0, Motherwell 2 in the Scottish Premiership. Oh, hold on. Is there a check for VAR?
Yeah, there will. It looks like there will be. I didn't see any problem. Yeah, I didn't see any problem with that. The way it was worked was brilliant. Yeah, they check absolutely everything now, but you know, that's the Arsenal you expect to see. But you can see there was tension in that first half. There was a real kind of lack of belief that they could go and, you know, swipe this Leeds United side to side. But Leeds, to be fair, for the vast majority of the game, they've been quite disappointed.
Well, Gabriel Jesus is now on a hat-trick for Arsenal. And I just wonder as well, with Saka not feeling too good, they might not necessarily now think about risking him.
I don't know why you would. You know, get played. He's not going to have a problem with fitness, is he? He's got plenty of games and he starts every game.
Sinistera with the cross. Somerville tried to meet it on the half volleys. Blocked there by Holding. And all of a sudden there's a counter-attack now, and it's Ødegaard who's running forward. He's got Jesus going through the middle. Here is Jesus, takes it in his stride, edge of the area, right corner of the box. Back to Ødegaard, gets away from Rocker with a drop of the shoulder. Passes it to Zinchenko, opens up for Zinchenko. Shot left-footed, blocked. There's been a goal at Palace, Sean Southall.
It didn't take them long. Palace 1, Leicester City 1. Brilliant free kick from Eberechi Eze. 25 yards out, struck the bar, hit the keeper Everson, and in it went. Maybe an own goal off Everson, but it's Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Arsenal, the message is clear here. They're going for more goals. There's been another goal elsewhere at Huddersfield. Back to Juliet.
And it's another one for Huddersfield. They now lead Middlesbrough by 3-1. This time it came from a corner. Max Pearson turning it in off his knee. Blimey, Neil Warnock. Huddersfield 3, Middlesbrough 1.
Saka is going to be coming on, as is Jorginho. Terrific noise inside the Emirates. They're taking another step towards the title. That is the belief in this part of North London, leading by 3-0. Much more fluent second half performance as Trossard with a corner in towards the near post, flicked on by Martinelli, hooked back by Martinelli. Leeds United get the ball away. His header at that near post was a very good save by Melier, almost a fourth.
It's amazing how much easier it is to play football when you're ahead. You've got lots of space, everybody wants the ball, everybody's moving, every flicking trick comes off. They have looked like a team that deserves to win the league in the second half, and it's only just started.
Gabriel with a swing off target. Now, we've heard that Middlesbrough, who've taken the lead, have conceded 3 times and are behind. They're chasing Sheffield United, and there's been a goal at Norwich. Aaron Paul.
Right on time. Sheffield United take the lead here. Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1. Plenty of questions whether this one is offside or not. It's being given. Maxlow with the ball through in towards James McAtee. He tapped home beyond the diving Angus Gunn. Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1. That one very, very questionable, Ian.
Double change being made here for Arsenal. We talked whether they'd risk Saka. They are going to risk him. It's going to be Jorginho coming on for Thomas Partey, and Gabriel Jesus is coming off to a standing ovation to replace by Bukayo Saka. Whilst this change happens, another goal at Rangers, Gavin Wallace.
Rangers 2, Dundee United 0, Ian, and Rangers obviously extending the lead and of course reducing the deficit to Celtic if it continues. James Tavernier with a fantastic ball, and he finds Malik Tillman, and it's cool, calm and collected as you like. Slots at home. Rangers 2, Dundee United 0.
That'll be 6 points behind Celtic. Celtic will have a game in hand. The Old Firm, incidentally, next Saturday lunchtime is live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Assume you'll be on duty.
Oh yes, I will be. I'm looking forward to that. And certainly Rangers can't afford any slip-ups just now in the way towards us. And at the moment, I think Jesus has come off there, and they can't complain. You know, he's scored his 2 goals, he's done his job. Bet he wanted a hat-trick though. And the chances are beginning to come though. He'll be a little bit gutted coming off, but he's just back from an injury. Arteta knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and all of a sudden as well, maybe it was a blessing in disguise for them to be exiting the Europa League, because now they can just concentrate no more midweek distractions from Europe in that sense.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, certainly some managers, you don't want to go out of competition, you never try and go out of competition, but the positives is you will get rest.
Trossard chips it through, headed away by Koch, comes back to Ødegaard, picked up now by Jorginho, and holding to Gabriel. Difficult now for Leeds United. They did cause problems in that first half, but unable to take their chances. Here is Martinelli on the left-hand side, Zinchenko on the overlap. Martinelli doesn't use him, passes the ball back instead to Gabriel. Back it goes then to Martinelli on the left-hand side. Zinchenko touches the ball. Trossard, everybody wants a touch now. This is the fluency, this is the football that we've been accustomed to seeing from Arsenal throughout the course of the season. Ball up towards Martinelli, heads it down. Trossard was on the stretch. Christensen forces the ball behind for a corner. Will quickly nip to Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
Brighton 2, Brentford 3. Flurry of chances since the 5th goal. Ray are excellent in the Brentford goal. 3 times now in the second half he's denied Solly March. Brighton 2, Brentford 3.
Corner kick then for Arsenal. Leeds United are going to be making a double change. McKennie is going to be coming on and Rodrigo is coming on.
That's horse has bolted in that one. They needed to make changes much earlier. I suspected they would have made them at half-time. They haven't done. And if you're an Arsenal player coming on now, it's great fun. If you're a Leeds player coming on now, it's a nightmare.
We've been playing for just over an hour. 3-0 to Arsenal. Corner kick on the near side. Downward header. It was from Gabriel. Didn't quite get enough on it. Leeds United have got the ball away. Sinistera will try and break. Goes in for a 50-50 challenge with Zinchenko. Look how many Arsenal shirts were flooding back there. That must have been at least 8.
Well, they were 1 against 2, so they were really outnumbered. And then 2 seconds later, there was 8 of them back working really hard. And that's the one thing you'll say about Arsenal. But the fact that they weren't slick in any way whatsoever in that first half, there's no lack of work. I remember you commentating quite a few times in the first half the work that Trossard was doing in particular, going back there, doing the hard yards, making sure when it does open up a little bit, you've made that happen because you've worked hard.
In the Championship, there's been a first goal of the afternoon at St Andrews. Maz Faruqi.
And it's gone for Birmingham from Blackburn's former player, Reda Kadra. A shot from distance went through everyone into the back of the net. Birmingham City 1, Blackburn 0.
In the Premier League, Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1, Brighton 2, Brentford 3, Crystal Palace 1, Leicester City 1, Nottingham Forest at the City Ground still lead Wolverhampton Wanderers by a goal to nil. Arsenal leading Leeds United 3-0 here. Leeds on the attack. Aronson takes it in neatly, goes for the chip. Very good smothering save. Quickly off his line by Ramsdale, behind for a corner kick.
Best move of the second half from Leeds United. Didn't think they had it in them there because they've been camped in their own half there. Yep, neatly up the right-hand side. Good goalkeeping there, and Ramsdale, to be fair, not asked much in the second half, but it was lively out there.
Miserable record for Leeds at the Emirates, yet to win, 1 draw and 5 defeats. That will soon be a 6th loss here since they switched from Highbury. They do, though, look for a consolation in the 64th minute, as there's been a corner kick awarded to them. The referee, though, has just spotted something. He's having a word with Ødegaard, actually. He's not got a Leeds United player around him, but that was a word from Darren England with the Arsenal captain. Leeds corner then on the right, in front of that Arsenal end, where those all in black make a lot of the noise away towards our right-hand side. It went out towards Sinistera. It was well read by Martinelli, who took it away off his toes. Martinelli now, if he can play it forward, had a break on for Trossard, but he's kept the ball in play as he runs back on that far left touchline, back into his own half, deep, very deep, loses it actually now, and Aronson takes over, and Aronson twists and turns, does a 360-degree turn and actually turns into trouble, then gets it back. Aronson enters the penalty area, checks back, pulls it back. Christensen, off his weaker left foot, has skied that goal kick. Arsenal still lead 3-0.
Well, there's a number of players you'd like that to fall to. One of them wasn't Christensen. It's not in his stronger foot. He just did a big old swing at it and it never looked as if he was going to get there. But a couple of little half chances there for Leeds. A bit of a sunshine through for them at the moment, but they didn't look as if they had any belief at the start of the second half, and that's the reason why they're down to 3 goals. But also the fact that Arsenal knew they had to lift it a bit. They did lift it in the second half, and they looked very comfortable indeed.
No surprise that Sinistera is coming off. He's only actually had 1 substitute appearance in the last 7. He's replaced by Rodrigo, and it's an American international for another American international, Aronson, who picked up his 30th cap against El Salvador is replaced by Weston McKennie, who has picked up a number of yellow cards actually in his previous 7 starts in the Premier League, 4 to be precise. Arsenal are looking for a 4th goal. Xhaka, forward ball, takes a deflection, runs towards Trossard, passes the ball out wide. White, who's already on the score sheet, keeps the ball in play over on that far side. Before that goal against Bournemouth in March, his last goal was actually for Leeds against Charlton in July 2020. He's doubled his tally in the Arsenal shirt today. Charlton 4, Shrewsbury 0, Hibs 1, Motherwell 2, Wimbledon 0, Rochdale 1. Are latest scores elsewhere around the country here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Sports Report is coming up. The results and the reaction with Mark Chapman at 5. Then Chelsea Aston Villa commentary from Stamford Bridge. The big fight tonight is at 10. Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin live on BBC Radio 5 Live from the O2. And there's been another goal at Huddersfield. Juliet Farrington.
And it's another goal for Huddersfield, and it's another goal for Matty Pearson, taking advantage of Middlesbrough mistakes. A second for him in the second half, and he just puts this one past the goalkeeper from the edge of the 6-yard box. Huddersfield, you can safely say, I think we'll win this one. They're beating Middlesbrough by 4 goals to 1.
And as it stands, they still remain in the relegation zone, but now level with Cardiff City on 39 points, and Sheffield United will be going 6 clear of both Middlesbrough and Luton Town, as they're currently still leading away at Norwich City by a goal to 0 behind the runaway leaders Burnley. We're almost midway through the second half. 3-0 to Arsenal. Here is Martinelli. Red and white shirts, playing from right to left.
It just feels like a unit now, doesn't it? Then beforehand, you looked at Arsenal in that first half. Xhaka was incredibly quiet. I have to say, I thought Odegaard has been quite quiet through the whole game. So you're talking about Arsenal here. Haven't really played anywhere near their best, although they look better in the second half, but they're still cruising ahead here.
Here is Gabriel striding forward from the back. Martinelli plays it inside. A little flick in the air by Zinchenko. Doesn't quite come off. Goes to Rodrigo. Dug out by Christensen. Ayling plays the ball forward. He won an FA Youth Cup with Arsenal back in 2009. They get it up towards Somerville. Somerville goes to ground not once but twice. To his credit, he was quickly back to his feet. And on the second time when he was bundled over, Darren England awards the free kick to Leeds United.
It was one of those ones. I don't think the referee was going to give him a free kick for the first one. That was just a coming together there. He wasn't strong enough to hold himself up, but he did win the ball in the second one there, and because he was in front of the ball there, I think the referee probably got the second one maybe just about right. There wasn't a lot in it. Free kick, slightly dangerous area, about 40 yards out.
So this free kick for Leeds United. Talking of a free kick, we're going to go to the City Ground. Pat Murphy.
In good value for this. They're playing on the break now. Just now Danilo shot across the face of the goal when he should have done better. We've seen very little from Wolves despite a rash of substitutions in the second half. Forest 1, Wolves 0.
Rocker with a free kick into the penalty area, looking towards McKennie, and headed behind by White for a corner kick to Leeds United. Mansfield 4, Crawley 0 is the latest score from Field Mill in League 2. Pat.
A little bit better there from Leeds United. Some of those set plays have not been good at all today. You know, just basically faded into the middle there and just gone through, hit no one, not any power, not any danger. That time put into a dangerous area, and they managed to get a corner kick from it.
So Leeds in front of that travelling support have a corner kick, far side the left. Got everybody forward, and it comes now. It's attacked by White with real vigour.
Again, it's the poor quality of the cross again. That's, I mean, a number of problems with Leeds today. I don't think they've really taken too many chances. Didn't play with centre forward at the start, but in the end, not even really get crosses in from corners. That's not kind of good enough.
There's a celebratory mood inside the Emirates. Cross from the left, goes through everybody. Zinchenko actually lets it run past him and out of play for a throw. So Sheffield United, this could be a significant day for them at the top of the Championship. They're at Norwich. Aaron Paul.
Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1. The visitors so close to a second. Ian Billy Sharp down the left, cut inside at the byline, and he's smashed a shot against the crossbar. George Baldock couldn't get onto the follow-up, but just some notes from what's going on over the far side. Chance of there's only one, Neil Warnock, and he's one of our own. Neil Warnock is one of our own, because the Sheffield United fans know what's going on up at the John Smith Stadium. They are 1-0 up here, though, at Carrow Road. Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1.
Yes, and Neil Warnock certainly doing his former club a huge favour, leading 4-1 in West Yorkshire. The Australian Grand Prix, by the way, is live on 5 Live. We've got the boxing tonight at 10. Anthony Joshua, the Australian Grand Prix at 5:45 in the morning on BBC Radio 5 Live. Ahead of 5 Live Premier League Sunday, where 2 more live commentaries. West Ham Southampton at 2, to be followed by Newcastle United against Manchester United at 4:30. And our next game is after this one. It's after Sports Report. The team is from Stamford Bridge, from Vicky Sparks.
Mudryk, Cucurella and Loftus-Cheek come in for Fofana, who's injured, and Pulisic and Badiashile, who are on the bench for Chelsea. So Havertz and James both start after recovering from illness and injury. Kamara's back from injury for Villa. He replaces Bailey, with Young in for the injured Matty Cash.
Thank you, Vicky. Vicky joined by Danny Gabidon. You'll be able to hear the two of them after Sports Report with Mark Chapman that's coming up. We've got 19 minutes remaining here. And that feeling of apprehension that you had noted in the first half, well, that seems a long, long time ago now for these Arsenal supporters.
Complete and utter cruise, and it's been a cruise since the second goal has gone in. And the Arsenal players, you can see they're enjoying it, and they're playing with freedom as well. It's so much easier to play football when you're ahead, especially the type of play, the team that Arsenal are. They have been good enough. They have been really good in the second half, even if it was quite average in the first. But sometimes you've got to win playing average, and Arsenal look capable of doing that now.
Here is Trossard back with Holding in towards the centre circle. Passes the ball out now to Ødegaard. Wonderful noise inside the Emirates. The red and white scarves are now being swirled around some of the supporters' heads. Some of them are actually getting to their feet in unison as well. Little pockets around the Emirates as their side lead by 3-0. Reading have equalised at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 1, Reading 1 in the Championship. Wycombe 2, MK Dons 2 in League 1. And what's the latest at Brighton? Jonathan Overend.
Well, it's still Brighton 2, Brentford 3. David Raya inspired in the Brentford goal this afternoon. In the second half alone, he's saved from March 3 times, Veltman, McAllister twice, and Gross. And for good measure, Lewis Dunk's had a free header over. Brighton 2, Brentford 3.
And Stoke City have got a third, which is certainly going to end Coventry City's fine run. They had been unbeaten in 9, but Coventry 0, Stoke City 3 is a latest score in the Championship. Zinchenko just slows things down. Ødegaard takes over, passes the ball now to Gabriel, tries to slide it into the path of Xhaka, comes back to Gabriel, cuts the ball back along the ground to Martinelli, level the penalty area on the left-hand side, plays it short in field towards Zinchenko, who then gets the ball back from Xhaka, tries to play a little ball inside towards Trossard, broken up though by Rodrigo, and Leeds United should clear through Ayling. But Arsenal win the ball back through Jorginho, and they've got a bit of an overload on the left-hand side, and it's passed in towards the penalty area towards Saka by Trossard, cleared by Leeds, out of play, it goes for a throw. Pat Nevin.
We just look at the games that Arsenal have played recently. There's going a load of goals, aren't there? 3 here today so far, but 4 against Palace. I mean, against Fulham, they went 3 up, and I think they took the foot off the gas. I thought they were brilliant that night. Bournemouth scored 3 against them, Arsenal 4 against them. They're not just winning, they're actually cruising through games now, even when they're not playing brilliantly. But I think the second half, I think Mikel Arteta will be as happy here as he's been in any of those recent games.
Well, Cooper has come on to replace Koch, and Jorginho Ruta has come on as well, and he's replaced Somerville, who was certainly lively in the first half. I can only think that Somerville now might be rested with an eye on Nottingham Forest visit on Tuesday in the midweek fixtures in the Premier League. But Arsenal lead by 3-0. Back to Huddersfield we go. Juliet Farrington.
Where Middlesbrough have got one back. Huddersfield 4, Middlesbrough 2. Chuba Akpom just heading their second. So 2 more goals for Middlesbrough to find at least a point. We've just got a break in play here. Huddersfield 4, Middlesbrough 2.
22 goals in 24 games for Chuba Akpom under Michael Carrick. Northampton 1, Stevenage 1. Stevenage have equalised in that top-of-the-table clash. Second versus third at Sixfields in League 2. Charlton 5, Shrewsbury 0. And Crawley have got a consolation at Mansfield. Mansfield 4, Crawley 1. Shrewsbury, incidentally, are down to 10 men as well. Tom Flanagan has been sent off as they're getting hammered there by Dean Holden's side. I told you about that Stevenage equaliser. News of it from Mike Williams.
Stevenage knew as things stood they were dropping out of the automatic promotion places. Not anymore. They've dragged themselves back into this one. It's Northampton 1, Stevenage 1, and it's the substitute Jamie Reid. He'd only been on the pitch 2 minutes. Sublime turn, got his shot away, just deceived the Northampton keeper Burge and trickled into the back of the net to to the delight of the 900 travelling fans. All square and all to play for at the top of League Two. Northampton 1, Stevenage 1.
Leeds United are on the attack. Harrison, they're trailing by 3-0. We've got 15 minutes remaining. Harrison enters the penalty area. Harrison passes the ball. It might fall to Christensen. He's got to go back. He went for the placement rather than the power. Right-footed. Ramsdale couldn't keep it out. Leeds United have a goal back. It's Arsenal 3, Leeds 1.
There's a little bit of flutter, a little bit of a worry there. Wonderful play there on the left-hand side. Again, best move they've made. Christensen had a chance earlier on. He blazed over the bar. However, that was on his left foot. This time, right foot takes the time. Side foot may have got a little bit of a deflection. I'll just tell you in a minute. It certainly did.
It went off the back of Zinchenko. So here, it's 3-1 to Arsenal. Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 0. Crystal Palace 1, Leicester City 1. Brighton 2, Brentford 3. It was Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1. But there's been a goal, John Akers.
Huge goal for Bournemouth down at the bottom. They've come from 1-0 down and lead 2-1. Ryan Christie off the bench with the shot. Saved by Leno, unconvincing. Solanke bundled it in. Might have come off Robinson for an own goal. They won't care. Bournemouth 2, Fulham 1.
For the time being, it takes Bournemouth out of the relegation zone. Before the play, it was Southampton, Bournemouth, West Ham reading up. It's now Southampton, West Ham, Everton and Leeds United on goal difference. They're just outside the relegation zone. As now, with a little glimmer of hope, they go in search of a second. And the ball cleared away by White Long, and we have 13 minutes remaining.
Well, it's a bit of a change since they made the last couple of substitutions. Rodrigo on, but also Rutter. He's the one that was the start of that. Brilliant piece of skill on the left-hand side. Going past two players, and that created the space that was eventually led to that goal. Maybe it'll only be a consolation goal. If they could get one more now, Leeds, that concern would be back at this stadium.
Well, it's Rutter who's on the attack, left-hand side. The ball goes behind for a corner kick. We will go to Crystal Palace, Leicester. John Southall.
As Ayew puts a shot over the bar, Palace 1, Leicester 1. Eze over the 25-yarder, palmed away by Everson to his left. Everson with the own goal for the equaliser. It is there for the taking this game for one of these two. 11 minutes to play. Palace 1, Leicester 1.
It's an ever-changing situation down at the bottom for those 9 clubs who are involved. Leeds United, with their support, backing them to the hilt on that far side, trailing 3-1 now. Corner kick though to Leeds on the left. Very crowded 6-yard area. It's outswinging corner, headed away well actually by Gabriel amongst the clutch of bodies. Won there by Firpo and then hammered away by White. Maybe it's not so comfortable after all for the league leaders. Stoke 4, Coventry 0, Stoke 4 incidentally now at in the Championship. Pat.
You know, that clearance there, that was Twickenham. That wasn't him. It was, don't worry about it, get it out. Don't care how you win this game. If you're Arsenal, it's 12 minutes to go. Do not take any chances. But what a lift the Leeds have had. Just complaining about those changes. Well, they're giving the ball away now.
Ødegaard wins it in the midfield. He's got Trossard with him in support. Ødegaard might go alone. Almost reaches Martinelli. The ball is passed back. There is no deliberate pass back though, says referee Dow in England, as Meslier dives on the ball for Leeds.
Yeah, he's just made a tackle there, and the tackle's taking it back to Meslier, who did think about it. It has to be said, he wasn't sure if it was a pass or not. I agree with the referee there. But the change that has happened in Leeds United since they made those, you know, substitutions, it just makes you wonder what took so long to make those, because it's quite obvious they were not creating enough, and they had some real talent on the bench. Certainly having an effect now, but then again they have been missing Nonto, and certainly Bamford hasn't been 100% fully fit.
Arsenal on course still though for 7 in a row in the Premier League for the first time since Unai Emery in 2018, and Ipswich Town are on course for 7 straight wins too, as they've got a second goal at Derby. Derby County 0, Ipswich Town 2, as Ayling passes the ball to Strout. And then to Firpo. Now we know it's Northampton 1, Stevenage 1. That's second against third. Also in League 2, the leaders Leyton Orient are taking on 4th place Carlisle, and there's been a goal. Kate Mason.
Brisbane Road has come to life. It is 1-0 to the league leaders. They are heading further up the table. It is going to go down, I believe, as an own goal from John Mellish for Carlisle. But Raul Sotirio fired the ball towards that Carlisle goal with a vengeance, and it pinged into the back of the net, and that's all that matters. 1-0.
Yeah, and certainly with the teams behind them drawing, it means that Leyton Orient will be 7 points clear of Northampton in second. with that lead against Paul Simpson's side. Earlier, remember, Bradford City beat Grimsby Town by 3-2. Automatic promotion is still a possibility for Mark Hughes' side. I'll rattle through all the divisions very, very soon with the latest scores as we build up to Sports Report with Mark Chapman. We're also live on the World Service. Arsenal lead by 3-1. Martinelli keeps the ball in play, shows too much to Cooper, the substitute, who bites his way into that challenge, and out it goes for a throw.
He's too relaxed there, Martinelli. He thinks he's got lots and lots of time. But to be fair, he's had a very, very good second half here down this left-hand side. A lot of the problems have come from there.
Xhaka with the cross. There's a player gone down off the ball here. Saka picks it up, though. Wouldn't quite fall towards Jorginho. I think it's Trossard who's gone down, feeling the base of his back. Referee Darren England blows his whistle, brings a halt to proceedings. There's been a goal at the City Ground. Which way, Pat Murphy?
It's the equaliser for Wolves from the unlikely source of Daniel Podence, smallest player on the pitch, on as substitute. The ball was never really cleared by Forest. Broke to him, emphatic right foot finish. Against the run of play, Forest 1, Wolves 1.
Well, that is certainly, that will have silenced the City Ground, I'm sure, for a Wolves side has only had one win in 6. We've got 8 minutes remaining of normal time. These are the latest scores in the Scottish Premiership. Hibs 1, Motherwell 2, Kilmarnock 2, Hearts 1. Kilmarnock are down to 10 men. Rangers lead Dundee United 2-0. The lead for Celtic then is only 6 points as a result of that at Ibrox. St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1. Saints were down to 10 men very early on. St Mirren lead Livingston 3-0. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, just a moment of a strange thing happened there. Trossard was hit off the ball. It looked deliberate. It was miles off the ball. The ball was in play, and it was inside the penalty box. I'll tell you what, there is a real argument that should have been a penalty kick there for Arsenal. Although the ball's nowhere near the play, it does not matter. If you were taken out off the play and it was deliberate, it should be a penalty kick. The referee must have thought it was undeliberate.
Yeah. You'd have thought that VAR would have had a little look at it too.
I think they have had a look at it, and it's not completely conclusive in their minds, but it's one of those ones, you don't take chances like that when you're in the box if you're a defender.
Kieran Tierney and Emil Smith-Rowe are going to be coming on for Arsenal in the closing stages. We've got about 7 minutes remaining. Arsenal still lead by 3-1. Patrick Bamford is going to be coming on for Leeds United as well. Rotherham are down to 10 men now in the Championship. Rotherham, who are currently drawing 0-0 away at Hull City. Back to the Premier League, back to Crystal Palace. John Southall.
Palace 1, Leicester 1, 6 minutes to play. Palace are hunting for this winning goal. Elise with the free kick. Edouard was stretching for it. Everson in the Leicester goal tipped it wide. Ward's just headed over. Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Cardiff have just equalised as well. Cardiff 2, Swansea City 2 in the South Wales derby. It's Hibs 1, Motherwell 3 in the Scottish Premiership. The substitutes wait to come on. Got to rattle through League 2, League 1 and the Championship. Before we get to full time, we've only got 7 minutes remaining of normal time. It's 3-1 to Arsenal, holding outside the centre circle, forward to Ødegaard. Arsenal now just trying to control the latter stages here.
Yeah, just a little bit of excitement there that Leeds, after getting that goal, a little bit of a lift. The fans got lifted as well. That's good game management from Arsenal. They've made a couple of changes, but they've kept the ball. That's the important thing.
Ødegaard, he picks out Xhaka. Xhaka with the header. There's no way back for Leeds United now, and the message is quite clear from the Emirates as Arsenal go back 8 points at the top. Catch as if you can. It's Arsenal 4, Leeds United 1.
And it's a brilliant ball in there. Just when they controlled the game, when they lost that goal, they thought, no, control this game, see it out. There's a maturity about this Arsenal side. And what happens is they switched off the first time. I think that's the first time that Christensen has not followed Xhaka. He followed him all day long. Xhaka's not spent a lot of time in the ball, but at least he kept on making the runs. He made that final run, gets a free header on. Christensen, poor lad, watched him all day. Comes off for 1 second and Xhaka scores.
It's 3-3 now for Granit Xhaka, would you believe, after Sporting and Crystal Palace. It's his 7th goal of the season. It's his best ever scoring season for Arsenal, and now the double change can be made. Bamford has replaced Harrison. Tierney comes for Zinchenko. Smith-Rowe is going to come on. Ødegaard's going to come off, and in fact Fabio Vieira is also going to come on for Arsenal. Let's get news of that goal at Cardiff from Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, Swansea 2, Cardiff 2. The equaliser from Sorry-Kaba headed home. A Ruben Colwell cross. It's been a really even second half here. Grimes, though, he's just hit the crossbar for Swansea. It's all happening and it's all level in the Swansea South Wales derby. It's Cardiff 2, Swansea 2.
And Vieira came on for Leandro Trossard. So in fact, that hasn't happened just as yet, so it will be happening. Let's just give you the League Two latest scores. I told you that Bradford beat Grimsby 3-2. Wimbledon 0, Rochdale 1. Barrow 1, Gillingham 1. Colchester 0, Newport 0. Doncaster 0, Crewe 2. Hartlepool 0, Swindon 1. Leyton Orient the leaders, lead Carlisle by a goal to 0. They're down to 10 men, however. Charlie Kelman's been sent off. Mansfield 4, Crawley 1. Northampton 1, Stevenage 1. Walsall 0, Sutton United 1. Pat Nevin.
Very strange one, bringing on Bamford with minutes to go, very little time to go, 5 minutes to go. You've just lost a goal to go 4-1 down. You ain't coming back for this one, and you bring Bamford on, who's your most likely player to score. I think there'll be some pretty strange substitutions in this game from Leeds United, and certainly the timing of them has not worked.
Just to say that it wasn't Xhaka who came off. Fabio Vieira wasn't Trossard. Fabio Vieira has replaced Xhaka. And Hartlepool have equalised at home to Swindon. Now, they've drawn all 5 games under John Askey. That might well be 6 consecutive draws since he took charge. And I noticed that Dundee, managed by Gary Bowyer, have rattled in a 7th against Hamilton in the Scottish Championship. Latest scores in League One: Barnsley 4, Morecambe 0, Charlton 5, Shrewsbury 0, Cheltenham 0, Burton 0, Derby 0, Ipswich 2. 7 successive wins for Ipswich. Fleetwood 2, Exeter 1, Peterborough 0, Oxford 0, Port Vale 0, Cambridge 2, Portsmouth lead Forest Green by a goal to 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Lincoln 1, Wycombe 2, MK Dons 2. Latest scores in the Championship to come very soon.
Well, a great opportunity for Arsenal, though. You know, they can see this game out. They've got a 3-goal cushion again, but they've allowed themselves to bring in a lot of players, get Tierney get Vieira some time on the ball, you know, get Jorginho his minutes on the pitch as well. If you're not playing in European games, the way you make sure is everyone's still happy. And professional footballers tend to be happy when you give them games of football. Everybody's getting a chance, or just about everyone's getting a chance today.
Jorginho to Trossard inside the centre circle. 5 Live in the World Service, also available on BBC Sounds. It's 4-1 to Arsenal, as the ball is played now to Tierney on this near side, the left. Back it goes to Trossard. Jorginho. There is a penalty at the Amex. Jonathan Overend.
Controversial, but it's been given, and Brighton have a penalty with the clock on 88 minutes. Substitute Dennis Undav had a close-range shot which went over the bar. It got a slight deflection off the extended arm of the defender Adam Hickey, and after consulting the pitch side monitor, Michael Oliver has agreed that it should be given as handball and it should be a penalty. And Alexis McAllister, the World Cup winner, has the ball on the spot to try to equalise for Brighton late in this pulsating match. Brentford still leading 3-2 at the moment, but here comes McAllister against Raya, who has been magnificent in this second half for Brentford, keeping the Londoners in this. McAllister scores! And with a minute plus stoppage time to play, it's Brighton 3, Brentford 3.
And here is Arsenal 4, Leeds United 1. Bournemouth, who've come from behind, still lead Fulham by 2-1. 3-3 there, as we've just heard from Jonathan. Crystal Palace 1, Leicester 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 1. They are the latest scores as Arsenal go forward, offside. And the only other division where I haven't given you the latest scores is as follows. After the results in the Championship: Luton 2, Watford 0, Preston 3, Blackpool 1. These are the latest scores, where Birmingham lead Blackburn by a goal to 0. Bristol City looking to go 7 unbeaten, still drawing 1-1 at home to Reading. Cardiff 2, Swansea City 2. Swansea were 2-0 up. Coventry 0, Stoke City 4. The end of Coventry's unbeaten 9-match run. Huddersfield 4, Middlesbrough 2. Hull 0, the 10 men of Rotherham United 0. Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1. Sheffield United will be 6 points clear of both Middlesbrough and Luton. West Brom 0, Millwall 0, and Wigan lead Queen's Park Rangers by a goal to 0, which would be their first win in 9. Let's go back to Forest. Pat Murphy.
It's still Forest 1, Wolves 1. Forest stunned by that equaliser from Podence against the run of play. They're pushing forward now, but both sides now at this stage of the game, 3 minutes have added on, they don't want to lose another goal. It's Forest 1, Wolves 1.
It's so tight down at the bottom. And so as a result, Leeds United's defeat here, nobody really would have taken advantage with, or the exception probably of Bournemouth, the only side down there to be leading actually. Palace and Leicester, Forest and Wolves, both drawing in those games as Bamford tries to edge his way in towards the penalty area on the right-hand side. Tierney clears, free kick in favour of Arsenal, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, and we've got 4 minutes of injury time going to be played here. What was interesting, the referee goes over to Tierney, tells him to stop wasting time. He's not wasting time now. The game's finished. There's nothing going to happen there. And the referee's pulling it back. So this game's just petering out now. I think Arsenal will be happy with that.
They certainly will. And the Leeds United support drifting for the exits as they see their side trail by 4-1. We mentioned the big winners of that bottom 9. Bournemouth out of the relegation zone as it stands. John Akers.
90 seconds of 5 added minutes remaining. Fulham are having a bit of a go, but they've been so good in the second half, Bournemouth, to come from 1-0 behind. Fulham in possession on the halfway line. A minute left for Bournemouth to hang on. Bournemouth 2, Fulham 1.
You look at the bottom from Palace in 12th to Southampton, and it's 5 points separating the bottom 9, but Bournemouth will be just 2 points out of the relegation zone. Palace, remember, without a win since New Year's Eve. At home to Leicester, John Southall.
Oh, they've just squandered a great chance in the 93rd minute. Crystal Palace 1, Leicester 1. Tyrone Mitchell 4 yards out at the back post, put it over the bar, and surely Palace's chances have gone with it. Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Exeter have equalised at Fleetwood. Fleetwood 2, Exeter 2. Arsenal on the attack. Handball against Ayling, given by referee Darren England. Arsenal will get a free kick on this near side, the left. Sports report coming up. We've got commentary from Stamford Bridge at 5:30. The AJ fight at 10 on BBC Radio 5 Live. The Australian Grand Prix early tomorrow morning at 5:45. And 2 more Premier League games at West Ham and Newcastle tomorrow afternoon. Plenty of live sport to look forward to on BBC Radio 5 Live. But Arsenal are taking another step towards the title. They're going to have a happy night tonight, I can guarantee you that. There's been a late goal at Selhurst Park. Back to John Southall.
They've done it! Crystal Palace 2, Leicester 1. Mateta, 12 yards out, has just put it in front of the Homesdale end. The Leicester players are down on their knees. Roy Hodgson is celebrating in the technical area. Palace have pinched it. Palace 2, Leicester 1.
13 without a win before today. Palace then nicking it at the end, it would seem, and Leicester City 7 without a victory, in real trouble. Corner kick to Arsenal, Pat.
How does Roy do it? I don't know how he does it. I don't know. But he came to Palace first time, how he lifted them was incredible. And that's a massive, massive result for them. Do you know what? Arsenal would love to get another goal at death here, just so they could turn around to Man City and say, well, you might have won 4-1 today, but we won 5.
That goal difference at the minute, plus 43 for Arsenal, plus 45 to Manchester City. 8 points, though, is the gap. They've re-established that after Manchester City came from behind to beat Liverpool by 4-1. There's a delay before this corner kick can be taken. Oh, it's
Ben White. He's just annoying Meslier. They're still shoving each other, and the referee is 6 inches away from them. It's just killing a lot of that time. Keeper doesn't want anyone near him, but you're allowed to stand wherever you want in the football field.
The 4 minutes of added on time are all but over. Arsenal 4, Leeds United 1. Corner kick to Arsenal. Didn't have it all their own way in the first half, but Leeds United couldn't take their chances, and Arsenal certainly have second half. Saka sends over the in-swinging corner. That was a foul on Meslier.
You can see that coming a million miles away long before it was actually played.
So Palace, that win takes them to 30 points. So with 9 to play, they probably only require 6 more points to be safe. Wolves 28, Forest 27, Bournemouth 27, Leeds 26, Everton 26, Leicester 25. Leicester actually drop into the relegation zone. But at the top of the table, it is Arsenal who go back 8 points clear after a 4-1 victory against Leeds United, with Gabriel Jesus getting 2 of them. Pat Nevin.
Average first half for Arsenal, second half cruised it. Did enough, then completely dominated the game. Jesus probably sneaks it for man of the match. Leeds United, real disappointment, but their big games are coming up for the rest of the week.
Jesus with a penalty after 35 minutes. Ben White made it too early in the second half. Jesus added a second 8 minutes later. Christensen got a goal back. but Xhaka got before 6 minutes from time, and by my calculations, Arsenal require 23 points